Hello, and thank you for allowing us to come into your homes and viewing this presentation. I'd like to introduce President Dr. John Sprague, President of Bristol Community College, Dr. Erving Fradkin, founder of Scholarship America, and Gilda Arruda, author of several books, including a book about Dr. Fradkin. My name is Joe Martins, and I will be the moderator for this discussion. Let's start. Dr. Sprague, BCC is well known as a high-quality associate degree awarding college and a great community asset for short-term career development programs. Right. First, let's speak a little bit about that, and then I want to go into a personal question about you, okay?
Sure.
Can you tell us about the numbers of students that are enrolled at BCC during the day and also in the evening programs?
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with such a distinguished panel. We're very proud of Bristol Community College. We have locations in Fall River as well, 2 locations in Fall River, and we also have locations in Attleboro, in New Bedford, and Taunton. And you put them all together to answer your question. We have over 12,000 students in undergraduate students, obviously. That makes us the largest undergraduate student institution in higher education in southeastern Massachusetts. You can think of some other bigger 4-year schools, but they include their graduate students before they can get to the level that we're at. So we're very proud of serving the community. There are 15 community colleges in the state, and we're the 3rd largest in the state. We are the 5th largest in New England. So Bristol Community College has gone from one little building on Durfee Street to quite an expansive array. Something I'm very proud of with our enrollment is that since I've been here, we have increased the registrations of minority students 254%. 254% when I first got here, and the minority students now comprise 20% of our entire student population. I'm very proud of that. And to keep pace with that particular statistic, we have increased the number of minority employees at all levels 166%. So we're trying to improve the diversity of the college as well as expand opportunities for the citizens of the Bristol County.
You know, if you did not have a college like you giving opportunities to so many young people, college is so expensive, they would not be going to school. We would have a greater unemployment. We would have more crime in this entire area. But you've given these kids a dream, hope, and a way of making a better life, and consequently have helped to make a better city. Congratulations.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better than myself, Dr. Fradkin. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. One thing, Dr. Sprague, that is not known, everybody I think know or should have known or do know about the campus in New Bedford and the Ellsbury Street main campus and the Duval Street campus and in Attleboro and the programs that you have. I drive by here at night and I see all the parking lots full.
Yes.
But what is not known is Jack Sprague. What about Jack Sprague? Who is he, other than the president of BCC? So, you tell us such things about you, like where you were born, what school did you go to, military service, books you may have written, and where did you begin your career in education?
Well, that's very nice of you to ask. I'm not sure if people are interested in that, but both my wife and I are natives of Holyoke, Massachusetts, way out there in the western part of the state. I went through public school, went to Holyoke High School. She went to Holyoke Catholic High School. I then I went to Union College in Schenectady, New York, and received my baccalaureate in history. And one of those amazing teachers who changed people's lives. I ran into my good fortune in high school, who was a history teacher. And he shaped a lot of my interests and my life, really, because I pursued history. I went to Union College, I got my degree. I went into the Air Force. I was in ROTC at Union College, and went in as a second lieutenant, brand new second lieutenant, and went to pilot training in Selma, Alabama for a year, and then became an Air Force pilot for 4 more years. Most of those hadn't intended on it, but most of those were in Southeast Asia, 3 of those years. And then when I got out, I went to Georgetown University pursuing history, my a master's and PhD in history. And then from there moved right into community college education, and it's almost 40 years ago, it's hard to believe, it went by so quickly, that I've been teaching or working in a community college in one state or another, 4 different states, 5 different institutions.
Wow.
And committed to the community college philosophy. I think it's just great. As I couldn't put it as eloquently as Dr. Fradkin, but we provide great opportunity with our glorious open door policy. Anybody can come, and it's up to you to survive and do well, and we'll support you as best we can.
Mm-hmm.
So the community college education, I think, even now with the skewing of classes and income among the national population, I think that community colleges are more needed now than ever. Thank you for asking.
Here's something. You, as the president of the college, have enough problems in your own backyard.
Thank you. You're right.
But you expanded. What made you give other kids in another area? They could be just as well dropouts, and 80% of the people in jail are dropouts. But you made a difference for them. What made you think that you wanted to go into Attleboro, New Bedford, and Taunton?
Well, it was really a sense of responsibility. I saw firsthand the great value in Fall River. And goodness knows that Fall River, with levels of education and levels of literacy that are very low, needs a Bristol Community College. But if it's so badly needed in Fall River, it's also badly needed in the other urban areas as well, and of our district. And each of the community colleges has a service area. In Attleboro, Taunton, and New Bedford are in our service area, and I thought I had a responsibility to bring the benefits of Bristol Community College to them.
You certainly have.
Thank you.
Dr. Fradkin, as a longtime advocate for education and for scholarships, what do you feel with regards to why BCC is so important to Fall River, New Bedford, Attleboro regions?
When I started the scholarship program, tuition at the university, at Bristol Community College, was only $200. You could work and still go to school. You cannot do that today. The only school that a kid can work and still may be making it, going to a community college. What a blessing that is. For 2 years, they can go and get the basic, so they go on further if they so wish. But they, right now at BC, can come out with a graduate degree and still make a decent living. It's a blessing to know that the greatest asset we have in this country are the young people. If you don't give them a dream and hope, then they're going to take a gun to get the dream and hope that they want. But when they can go to Bristol Community College, to a community college, what a blessing it is to have that in our own backyard. It's a blessing to have a person like Jack Sprague, who, by the way, when he first came into the city, saw the signs, the Scholarship City, and he said, "That's great, what is it all about?" He says, "Boy, I want to back that up." So thank you, Jack.
Gilda, you've written several books.
Yes, I have.
One of the books is about Dr. Fradkin.
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us why you become a book author? a writer.
Writer.
Right? And the names of some and the types of some of your other books.
Yeah.
And then why did you choose Dr. Fradkin as a person to write about?
I actually worked in a medical field for many years. And when one day the patient stared back at me, was my own sister, I left the medical field to write my story. And the story is that everybody has a voice, regardless of their education. They deserve to be heard, and they should not be intimidated by title or by anyone's status. So my first book was entitled Twice Wronged. And then I went into a historical book, because I'm from the Azores. And then I wrote books on concepts of empowerment, how people can empower themselves, no matter what stage of education you're at, or stage of your life, or whatever age. You can empower yourself and go out there and be your own voice, be your own beacon of light for your own life. I met Dr. Fradkin about 10 years ago, and you couldn't help but absorb the sense that of his love for country and God. And I said to myself, surely this man's gonna call it quits any day now. And it didn't happen. And no matter where I met him, no matter where we met, it was always that enthusiasm to help your fellow man. And I wanted to know more about that. And I wanted to know why. It was almost like it's addictive after you talk to him. And then I realized that to have a sense of freedom in who you are and for what this country is, which stands for freedom, is to help another human being. And how does he do that? Through the gift of education, opening the door for education. Without that education, you don't go too far. But also, what he instilled in me is that you're never too old to learn, and that we're all equal. No one's better than the next person, regardless of their color, regardless of gender.
Good.
You know, this is one of the things that I have so much pride in the fact that she took the time to write about the love of America, that we're all God's children, that we can make a better America if we work it. I know, Joe, you have a copy of the book, which I would like to give as a compliment too.
This is the book that was authored, written by Gilda Arruda about Dr. Erving Fradkin. And you can...
We want to give this to you as a compliment. We appreciate much what you have done, and this is a compliment from Gilda and myself. So.
Well, I'm honored to have it. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Gilda, thank you very much.
So appropriately
Yeah.
given to you because education, because this book is a teaching tool on how through igniting, words to ignite the American dream, the words that you speak to another person will either fuel that person or bring them down.
Exactly right.
These words will fuel them
Yes.
towards being a better person.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Sprague, what is the total approximate cost of a student to attend BCC as a full-time student?
For a full year, full-time, it runs about $5,000, which I'm embarrassed to say because the community colleges are supposed to be very, very affordable. Now, $5,000 is very affordable compared to $50,000 elsewhere, but it still doesn't abnegate our responsibility to make it more affordable.
But yet, there are scholarship programs.
Absolutely.
That are through BCC.
Yes, we have.
Could you talk about a little bit about that?
Yes, we have a variety of different kinds of financial aid, and one of which is Dollars for Scholars. I'm the only one that I think that still says Dollars for Scholars because I love that the image that it brings up that Dr. Fradkin so graciously provided years and years ago, and is still going strong. So we have scholarships from high school students bringing with them. We have lovely array of donors to Bristol Community College that set up scholarships in their name or in the name of an organization, either for any student or for a particular student, say for nursing or for dental hygiene or something like that. So there is that level of scholarship aid. And of course there is the federal level financial aid of Pell Grants. Every now and then, that we hear about a crisis in the national budget, the Pell Grants come up to on the chopping block, which I think is very short-sighted. So the Pell Grants are very much made use of by our students. I think some 50% of our students are on some type of financial aid, and it's increasing. That number is increasing as conditions in society continue on the sad direction that they're in.
You know,
That was the first college, junior college in the country, to match to a degree what scholarship, Dollars for Scholars students are getting. What we did is we have now over 600 different colleges who are members of Dollars for Scholars, and half of them, almost half of them, will match. But BCC was the leader of matching, so that a student going to BCC used to be 200, now it's 5,000. It's a disgrace to America to have to pay that amount of money for college. America was so great with the equal opportunity. Go to school, learn something, and be beneficial to yourself, to your family, and to your country because you have an education. And it didn't cost. God bless Bristol Community College because they make it possible for a student to go there, work, and be able to finally afford to get an education.
The Dr. Sprague, in the day program, but there's also an evening program, and as we spoke briefly about a few moments ago, but students who, for some reason, find, look, I need to go to work, I need to have a job during the daytime, whatnot. But what is the length of time that it max out regards to the actual receiving of an associate's degree? Do you have to receive it by X number of years? Is there a time limit on that?
Well, that you bring up a very controversial issue,
Uh-oh.
unintentionally, I'm sure, but the community colleges have been, I think, unfairly criticized because of the so-called graduation rate. The graduation rate that you see in the newspapers it really applies only to a small amount of our students, because there are certain categories. You must be a first-time student entering and a full-time student. And we don't have many of those. In fact, it's less than 15% of our population, because we have 85% of our students working, and they go part-time. So the quick answer to your question is there's no limit. Every commencement, I ask the class to stand and sit down if they've achieved their degree in 2 years. We're called a 2-year college, and very few sit down. And then 3 years and 5 years. And some years we have 10 years, 15 years. One year we had 30 years. A woman started with us, had children, dropped out, put them through the college, then came back. It's a great story instead of something to be criticized for. So there's no limit, and we welcome everyone, and you go at your own pace.
I didn't want it to be a controversial thing.
No, it wasn't your controversy. Others have called it controversial.
My first degree was an associate's degree out of a college in Boston.
Yes.
And it took a long time because I was working. And it took a long time to get that associate's degree.
Yes.
And that was the stepping stone to going on to my further degrees after that. So.
And as you found out, life happens.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely
not a 2-year.
so.
I never referred to us as a 2-year school. And now, unfortunately, I don't refer to the baccalaureate granting institutions as 4-year schools because similar stories are at that level as well.
Absolutely so.
You know,
Yes,
Joe
indeed.
Martin's is typical of what we had hoped years ago. You have no money to speak of, you go to school, you work, you decide you want to do something great as in the teaching, goes to school, gets the teaching, knows that if he goes back to school nights, he can do even more. And lo and behold, came the superintendent of Diamond Vocational, and never stops interesting in people. It's because even though he's retired, he's now on the school board trying to help kids all the time. One of his passions is don't graduate without some type of a degree. And he wants to see the career pathways, young people being able to get it. And then, of course, that's what you do too. You give these young people a chance from high school to make a graduate school, type of some sort of degree.
I'm going to have to cut you off, Doctor,
ahead.
because we're starting to run out of time, and I got a few more issues to put in here.
Go ahead.
But go back to you, Dr. Fradkin, on the, you've been an advocate for scholarships for young people since 1958. Why is scholarship giving such a personal issue with you?
Because I believe in America. I know that the greatest opportunity people have is if they can get themselves an education. I know of a family in New York, 8 kids in the family, no money. Everybody was able to go to the University of New York, no charge. Now they're doctors and lawyers and heads of industry, whatever it is. Everybody's God's children. If you take that amount of God's gift that you do have and get an education, you can be so much more useful to yourself, to your family, and to your community. When I was in practice and the student coming in from high school, I wanted to know, what do you want to do with your life? I know that if I didn't have the education, I could never have had the life that I have. I want everybody to have a life that they enjoy and have a good life. And when they were telling me no money and I'm going to drop out of school, I thought that's such a waste. If everybody who owned a house, 30,000 people own houses, give $1. $1 doesn't mean anything. But if you put the dollars together, $200 tuition at that time, what a difference it could make to the community and to the country. And
I want to get to Ms. Arruda. Your past has not been a garden of educational roses. Is there a specific incident that which promoted you to be a book writer?
There was. I actually, when I was going through the experience with my sister, I had collected a box of Post-it notes, and I had no idea. And a friend of mine, a coworker, said, "Write a diary. This will help you someday with going through the grieving process of your sister." One day, I would write on it, everything. And one day, I had gone to a hairdresser, and there was a man sitting on the side of me. And the girl that was having her hair cut said, "Gilda, pull out your note that you showed me and show that man next to you what you wrote." And I looked at him, and he smiled. And I looked at him, you know, just gave it to him, and he's reading, he's shaking his head. And he says, "I've never seen so many run-on sentences in my life." He says, "There's no punctuations here, but I've never seen anybody write like you." This man was a professor from Northeastern University, and he's the one that encouraged me. He says, "Write, don't stop writing." And I said, "Maybe I should go and take a class." He said, "No." He says, "You have a unique style of writing, just keep writing." And that's what took me off. It was his words. In other words, word of mouth, you can encourage someone to be something. And that's what this book is all about.
Fantastic. The same question, and it'd be the last, is for all three. A growing number of high school students seek specific courses or a specific career field. Okay? While many students, it's, I don't know what I want to be. Okay? What advice would you give to those students? We'll start with Dr. Sprague.
Well, we have many of those students in that category at Bristol Community College. One of the benefits of the relative affordability of community college is that you can experiment. And I encourage students to read in the breadth of reading about other fields, learn what you can, and experiment and try them out. There's no stigma of not knowing immediately what you want to do with the rest of your life. You don't want a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old to dictate the life the rest of their lives, or they might live to be 80, 90 years old. So we encourage them to experiment, to look across. That's why we ask them to study liberally among the arts, the liberal arts, and to see if there is a niche, something that Gilda just spoke about, something that will happen unsought and spur of the moment, and it happens, and that can change your life as it changed hers. So I encourage people to explore and to look inward as well as introspectively as well as outside.
Excellent. Gilda.
Actually, to follow up on what Dr. Sprague said, I was an invited guest to come speak here at BCC, and I was given a lecture. And you know, sometimes you hear back, sometimes you don't. But it was 6 months later that the professor that was in the classroom had mailed me a copy of a letter. It's a 3-page letter. And whenever I finish speaking, I open it up to questions and answers. This one particular woman never raised her hand, never said anything. I really didn't think she was paying any attention. And she said she owed it to me that she was going to go on with her education into criminal justice and pursue her degree to be an attorney and to go out there and help people who have been wronged. And she went on to tell me her story. And so just to let me know that she had enrolled again at BCC and she was continuing her education because of what I said.
Dr. Fradkin, what was your advice?
The average person goes through at least 8 different professions or works before they finally retire. You don't know what you can do in life, but I do know you can be influenced by so many people. When you are in high school, if you don't know what you want to do, continue your education as much as you can, because something could trigger it. It could be the teacher, it could be your professional man, whatever it is, something will trigger in you that this is what you want to do. Try it. If it's not quite what you want, you can do something else, but get that education. The more education you get, the more chance you'll have of doing eventually what you want to do.
Can I add just quickly that right now, in this ever-changing technological society, we don't even know what the jobs will be 5 years from now. So that's where that basis, foundation, as Dr. Fradkin and Gilda emphasized, the education, get a good grounding, and you'll be prepared for that uncertain future which we face.
Excellent. Thank you very much for allowing us to come into your homes. We hope that you've enjoyed the program. I do want to thank the panelists, Gilda Arruda, Dr. Sprague, Dr. Fradkin, and to all of you, have a good day. And if you're watching this in the evening, have a good evening.
And we thank you, Joseph Martins,
you,
for
Dr.
being
Martin.
such a good MC.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.